In the grand This isolation from sound, he would later claim, helped him concentrate, shielding him from the distractions of the world. In 1854, the family moved to Port Huron, Michigan, a city humming with the energy. A decision that would define his intellectual development. She nurtured his insatiable curiosity, allowing him to read voraciously on subjects that captivated him, from world history to the dense scientific treatises of the era. He devoured books, and his basement became a laboratory, a chaotic wonderland of wires, chemicals, and makeshift contraptions. By the age of 12, Edison's entrepreneurial spirit was already kindled. He took a job as a newsboy and candy seller on the Grand Trunk Railroad line running from Port Huron to Detroit. The long hours on the train were not idle. He set up a small chemistry lab in the baggage car, conducting experiments during the layovers. He also demonstrated a flair for publishing, creating his own newspaper, the Grand Trunk Herald. He printed and sold to passengers. This early venture was a microcosm of his future career, identifying a need, creating a product, and managing its distribution. A pivotal moment came when he was 15. He saved a 3-year-old boy from being struck by a runaway boxcar. The child's grateful father, a station agent named J.U. Mackenzie, offered to teach Edison the intricate language of the telegraph as a reward. This was the key that unlocked the world of electrical science for him. For the next 5 years, Edison became an itinerant telegraph operator, a knight of the key, drifting from city to city across the Midwest. He lived a nomadic life, often sleeping in telegraph offices, but his mind was never at rest. He tinkered constantly with the equipment, modifying and improving the devices he worked with daily. He read every book on electrical theory he could find, the complex diagrams a safe, reliable, and affordable electric light. Arc lights existed, but they were too bright, too hot, and too dangerous for home use. The world needed a practical incandescent bulb. Edison publicly declared he would solve the problem, a bold move that sent gas company stocks plummeting. He understood that the bulb was only one piece of the puzzle. He needed to invent an entire system, from generators and regulators to wiring and meters. The quest for the perfect filament became an epic saga of trial and error. His team tested thousands of materials, from platinum to exotic plant fibers. They carbonized everything they could think of, from coconut hair to fishing line. The Menlo Park lab glowed day and night as they relentlessly pursued a breakthrough. Finally, on October 22nd, 1879, a carbonized cotton sewing thread was placed in a vacuum-sealed glass bulb. When the current was applied, it glowed with a soft, steady light. And it kept glowing for hour after hour. Thousands of people flocked to witness the spectacle. Here, over the next 4 decades, he and his team continued to churn out inventions. He improved the phonograph, developing wax cylinders for recording. He pioneered motion picture His first wife, Mary, died in 1884 at the age of 29, possibly from a brain tumor. 2 years later, he married the 20-year-old Mina. Century.